The show opens up with Elizabeth riding her horse through town. She's looking for Nathan. She wants to talk to him about Allie. Elizabeth was the only person Allie invited to the adoption ceremony. She asked Nathan, did he discuss the guest list with Allie? He said yes, and from the guest list that I saw, you weren't even on it. She said, now you're just being hurtful. Nathan said, Elizabeth, if that's what you think of me, you don't even know me. Nathan began to walk away, and Elizabeth said, Nathan, we're talking about Allie. He said, well, that's gonna have to wait because there's been a escape at Granville Penitentiary, and he has been spotted nearby. As he was riding by, Lucas was on the top floor deck of the saloon where he had been watching and listening the whole time. He called, Constable Grant. Nathan said, save it, and continued to gallop out of town. Elizabeth visited Lucas in his office. She wanted to tell him that she was the only guest at the adoption ceremony. Lucas got a call. He was talking in French. He told Elizabeth he was talking to an art dealer about a painting for his parents. He asked her to go to dinner with him tonight so he can discuss what they were talking about and he can give her his full attention. She said yes, and as she went out the door, she said, Lucas? He said yes, and she began to talk in French. I guess she wanted him to know that she understood his conversation. When she closed the door, she smiled before walking on. Molly is fussing over Ned. She let him come to the store and sit in the corner, but he can't do anything. She hired Robert to deliver the mail for him. Christopher came into the dress shop to ask Rachel about taking in the sights. Rosemary came from the back and said, what sights would that be? He said, Rachel and I were wondering if you and Mr. Coulter would show us around the town. Rosemary stepped in front of Rachel and said, well, I think that can be arranged. Just let us know when might be a convenient time. He said, yes, ma'am. Thank you. He was trying to say goodbye to Rachel, and Rosemary interrupted him and said, well, have a wonderful day. Rosemary looked at Rachel, then turned back around saying, Rachel, I know you came to live with us to experience the kind of freedom your parents weren't allowing you back at home. When she turned around to look back at Rachel, she had left the room and slammed and locked the door. The Canfields went to town, and while they were there, Angela was getting a Braille lesson from Elizabeth. Bill called Henry to the office. He wanted to ask him how long his son had been in town. He was trying to figure out who stole the car they found a couple of weeks ago. Henry was upset, and he and Bill began to argue. Nathan came in and he diffused the situation. When Henry left, Nathan told Bill, we can't be doing guilt by association. I'm guessing Nathan meant that just because Christopher is Henry's son doesn't automatically mean he's guilty. He stole the car. Elizabeth and Lucas were talking. She was looking at Allie looking sad. Nathan was going to talk to her about the adoption ceremony list, but the prisoner from the earlier prisoner who escaped, Nathan had to go after him again because he escaped again. Elizabeth was saying she was afraid something like this would happen if she and Nathan tried to be friends. Lucas said, I can accept a friendship between you and Nathan, but I don't think he'll ever settle for only a friendship. She said, I'd prefer if we discussed this at dinner time. Right now, I would like to comfort a sad little girl. As soon as Lucas walked away, Christopher came running out of Henry's office yelling, I need help, I need help. He ran into the clinic and got Carson. When they got to Henry, Henry was saying, I'm okay. I'm fine, I'm fine. Christopher said, you're not fine. You were having trouble breathing. He got dizzy. Carson asked Faith to get Christopher out of the room. When Faith got him outside, she told him his father had very high blood pressure that they had been trying to get under control for a while. He said, seriously? Everyone was coming to the street asking what was going on. When Lucas came, Christopher saw him and rushed toward him, saying, "Hey, you hired him knowing all along he shouldn't be working." Bill stopped him before he got to Lucas. He continued, "If anything happens to him, you're the one I blame." Lucas looked around everyone and walked away. Elizabeth went to Lucas's office to tell him that Henry was fine. He said he didn't know Henry was that sick. She asked him if he still wanted to go to dinner. He said no, and she said she would stay with him. Elizabeth was sitting on a small love seat looking chair, and she asked him to come sit beside her. He did, and they were looking at each other in their eyes and holding hands. Lucas leaned in and said, "I think it's very kind of you to sit here with me, but I think perhaps you should go. I want to be patient." She said, "Thank you for your patience." He kissed her hand and she got up, turned to look back at him, and closed the door. When she got on the other side of the door, she grabbed a menu and began fanning herself. I believe this time if he had tried to kiss her, she would have let him do it. Because evidently by her fanning herself with the menu, she was hot and bothered. Henry and Carson were having dinner. Henry said when he had his spell in the office, Christopher said, "Dad, what is it?" Carson said, "I don't understand." He said, "Well, when I had my spell in the mercantile, Christopher had returned a letter opened and sent it to me. In the letter, I asked him to forgive me for not being in his life. But when he returned the letter opened, that told me he didn't care about me. Christopher has never called me anything but Henry. But today, when he was afraid that he may lose me, I found out that my son does care for me. I don't know if there is anything better than that." Rachel found Christopher. He was sitting across the street from the diner, alone. He said he was supposed to be having dinner with his father. She told him to take a chance. She didn't say take a chance. She didn't say it directly, but I believe she was saying take a chance with your father and take a chance with me. She said take a chance like you did when you stole Uncle Lee's watch. She gave him his handkerchief back with her lipstick still on it. She said stop by the store in the morning. He said nothing can keep me from it. And they kissed. Rosemary and Elizabeth were talking. Lee knocked on the door and came in. He said Rachel is home and my sister just called. She wants Rachel to come home for her birthday. Christopher was digging a ditch and 3 men were just standing around looking at him doing nothing. I got the impression that he was doing their job. Lucas walked up and saw the 3 men standing there, and he looked down at Christopher and said, "Why don't you go sit with your father?" Christopher said, "From what my father said, we're going to need a trench for drainage." Lucas said, "Christopher." Christopher said, "Leave, Lucas." As Christopher was leaving, Nathan was walking up. He said, "That seems like an angry young man." Lucas said, "And he has every right to be." Nathan said, "Oh yeah? What's that?" Lucas said, "I don't owe you any explanations." Nathan said, "No, Lucas, you don't owe me any explanations. I just want to let you know that I haven't given up on Elizabeth just yet." Lucas said, "You can do whatever you want, but you better make good and sure that you have Elizabeth and Allie's best interests at heart, not your own." As he began to walk off, Nathan said, "Lucas." Lucas said, "Save it." Earlier, when Nathan was leaving town and Lucas called his name, Nathan said, "Save it." So I'm guessing Lucas is returning the favor. Mike and Jesse were walking. Mike told Jesse that he snores and makes a mess everywhere he sits, and he thinks he should go home to Clara. Clara was talking to Mr. and Mrs. Canfield and Bill, and Jesse came in through the back door. He asked if she would like to talk. She said yes. "I would very much like to talk." Allie made Elizabeth an invitation. Elizabeth asked Allie if she knew she was dating Mr. Burchard. She said, "Yes, I pretty much knew that even before Uncle Nathan told me." Well, I should get going. Bye. Elizabeth opened the invitation. It was a pop-up card of Nathan and Alice sitting at a table with the words, "You are invited," next to them. Elizabeth called Alice's name. Allie turned around. Elizabeth said, "This is beautiful, and clearly you worked very hard on it, but I won't be coming to dinner tonight." Allie said, "Laura said she could babysit. If you want, you can bring little Jack." Elizabeth said, "Why don't you just sit down so we can talk?" Allie said, "Fine, don't come," and grabbed the card out of her hand and tore it in half and said, "I don't care," and stomped off. Elizabeth said, Allie, wait." Rachel was waiting for Christopher to come to the dress shop before she left for the drink for the train station. He doesn't know she's leaving. Lee looked at his watch and said, "It's time to go." Rosemary said, "Lee, you found your watch." He said, "Yes, it was under the car seat the entire time." Rachel said, "Really?" Christopher came running up to the dress shop calling Rachel's name. He missed her. The town was celebrating Bill before he returns his uniform. Elizabeth walked up to Nathan saying, "I need to speak with Allie." Nathan said, "She's at home, and honestly, she's afraid to speak with you without me there. Can't we talk about this after?" She said, "No, we can't. I was afraid that this would happen if things didn't work out between us." Nathan said, "I don't know what to tell you. I tried to talk to her." Elizabeth said, "Like I tried to tell you at our parent-teacher conference. You are her rock. If you let her down, her whole world crumbles." Nathan said, "I know. That's part of the reason I'm trying not to show you how I feel about you. It's the reason why I turned down the promotion to inspector. Because believe me, there is nothing I would welcome more than to leave here." But Allie has finally started putting down roots somewhere. She made friends. She feels safe here. I've never seen her so happy. Elizabeth said, "I know there's something you haven't told me, and I want you to tell me now." Nathan said, "At Fort Clay, I was the one who was supposed to lead the training mission, not Jack. I was disciplined for an earlier incident, and your husband, Jack, replaced me. I'm sorry, Elizabeth. It was never the right time to tell you. I wanted—" He stepped toward her, and she backed away and walked off. And that was the end of the show. Well, I believe that seals the deal. There is no way she's going to be with Nathan after Jack was killed in his place. But if Nathan was there, that doesn't necessarily mean he would have been killed. He may have made different decisions and his life may have been saved. But yeah, I think Lucas is the one. Lucas is going to be her new love person, because I just can't see how she could look at Nathan and not think about, if you are here, that means Jack is not here. Thanks for listening. Like, comment. But Allie has finally started putting down roots somewhere. She made